Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our traffic safety series. I'm Tara DiStefano. I'm from the Highway Safety Network. I'm the Community Traffic Safety Project Coordinator. And if you've been joining us, you know we are in the midst of our traffic safety series here at the library. And I thank you for joining me. This week, we are going to be talking about our mature drivers or our senior or older drivers. We just wrapped up Older Driver Awareness Week. And it's always good to promote safety for our older drivers. So we're going to go through some slides here. I'm going to talk about some things that affect our older drivers and some considerations and what you can do if you are a family member of an older driver that you're concerned about, or if you are an older driver, what you can do to stay on the road and keep your license as long as possible. So let's get into it. So like I had mentioned, we are talking about our mature drivers today. And what constitutes an older driver? Who's our older drivers? Well, an older driver is defined as someone the age 65 or older. And in Pennsylvania, we are getting to be an older population. As you can see in my middle bullet point here, we are expected to increase from 15%, which was in 2010, to 19% this year that's coming to a close. And in 2030, we're going to have 23% of our population being age 65 or over. And why is that? Well, people are living longer. We're doing things to make sure that we are, extending our life expectancies. So we're doing a good job of, maintaining our health. So that's why those populations are going up. And that's great. We get to spend more time with our loved ones and keep them in our lives. But again, we are used to having our freedom and being able to pick up our keys and go when we want. So as an older driver, when there are changes with our health or our bodies, it's difficult to make decisions to stop driving or limit our driving. So we're going to talk about that. And as you can see on that third bullet point there, we are fifth in the nation by percentages of the older population. Now, like I said, we are getting older, but when it comes to driving, there is no age that automatically, calls for you to stop driving, that automatically you lose your license. Age, it's not, it may be one factor, but it is not a main factor. Throughout my traffic safety career, I've done many programs at a lot of senior centers, and I've met a lot of people, and I've met some folks that are well into their 90s, and they're still driving and completely capable of driving. And on the opposite end of that, I've met some folks that are nowhere near 90 years old that probably should have never gotten their license to begin with. So again, age, not the determining factor. So everyone ages differently. There is no arbitrary cutoff when somebody should stop driving. Like I had said, I've met people that are close to 100 years old and you couldn't tell, and they were completely capable of, keeping their license and driving on the road safely. The only thing with aging is our bodies, as we age, just like anything as it ages, it starts to deteriorate. We start to have a reduction in our strength or our coordination or our flexibility. We see changes in our physical abilities. We see changes in our visual abilities, and we see changes cognitively. So sometimes as you get older, people will say, well, I'm old, my memory's going. So again, there are some things, as we age, we do tend to lose, some of the abilities as that we had when we were younger. However, there are ways to stay driving on the road. And again, you have to, if you are an older driver, you have to realize that these changes are taking place, and that you may have to maybe not give up your license, but make some changes as to your driving patterns. And again, like I said, we have to make sure that you recognize these changes and are willing to adapt to those changes. You need to know your limitations. So if you're a driver, if you're an older driver, and there's a situation that makes you uncomfortable, you need to figure out a way to not put yourself in that situation. Some of the adjustments, some of the recommendations of adjustments are to drive only during daylight hours if you are having difficulty seeing in the night. I know a lot of people have trouble, especially as you get older, if you start developing cataracts. In nighttime, the glare from the headlights or off the road, it's difficult to see. So if you can't see or judge at night, you may want to limit your driving to daylight hours. You may want to stay off the roads with the fast-moving traffic or not drive during peak hours like rush hour. You may want to stay off the road, between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. and between like 3:30, 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. when people are going to be coming home from work or going to work and the road's going to be more congested. You may want to avoid the major highways because the speed limits are much higher than on local roads. And driving in bad weather. We know it's winter right now. Last week we had talked about winter driving. If you are not comfortable driving on snowy or ice-covered roads, you may have to make adjustments there. So if you have appointments or you made plans to go shopping or visit friends, you may have to adjust those plans. But these are things you must consider. And it doesn't mean that you have to give up driving altogether. It's just you have to make those adjustments. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, as we age, things do change. Our eyes change, our body changes, our brain, we can become more forgetful. And these are just some of the examples of some of the changes we may encounter. My parents, I know my dad had his cataracts taken care of in his 40s. So I just turned 40 this year, so I'm expecting that possibly I may have cataracts at an early age. Does that mean I have to stop driving? No, it means that I need to go to the doctor and have it taken care of so I can stay safe on the road. There are things that we can do, medications and therapies. Sleep apnea is on the list. There are therapies for sleep apnea. There are machines that you can wear to make sure that you don't stop breathing in your sleep. So again, there are ways that we can remain driving, but we have to adapt to our body's changes. What are some of the warning signs that we are maybe having some changes? Conflicting medications. So if you are taking medication and it is going to interact with each other or it's going to cause a problem for your driving, that's one of the warning signs. Eyesight problems. If you're having, like I mentioned earlier about the cataracts, if you're having trouble seeing while you're driving, that could be a warning sign. If you're having problems hearing or with your reflexes, remember, we like to be able to look over that shoulder and check our blind spots when we're on the highways. Well, if you are having problems with your reflexes or your range of motion, that's going to be very difficult. So you have to make sure that you can make those adjustments. Maybe you need some physical therapy to help with those ranges, that range of motion or those reflexes. And again, our memory issues. Sometimes, I say as we get older, but when you are very busy and you are thinking about different things, you also have memory issues. It's like a focusing problem. So it's not just our older drivers with memory issues. So what can we do? So some of the things that we suggest is to have your eyes checked annually. Eyes very easily treatable. You can put your glasses on. I wear these for the blue light. Look, I'm very fortunate that I have good vision, but you must have your eyes checked. It's an easily treatable problem. You get glasses, contacts, LASIK, cataract surgery. There's so many options to treat poor vision. It's just a matter of making sure that you're on top of it and getting it checked. Have your hearing checked annually. Make sure that you can hear, other traffic, sirens, car horns honking at you. You want to make sure that you can hear. And you need to make sure that you have a doctor's visit annually so you can talk to your doctor about what changes you're seeing or you're feeling, how aging is affecting your ability to drive. What are some of the clues and cues that you may be falling into that category of reassessing your driving abilities? So the first one, if you're on the road and there are other drivers that honk at you a lot, if you're finding that you're getting honked at, and it's not just because they want to wave and say hi, that could be one of them. Are you having little fender benders? So are you finding scratches or dents or dings in your car, or maybe like in your mailbox, or on the garage or on the fence? Some things that you don't know how they got there. Do you get lost even on roads that you know? So are you taking short local trips and you're still having trouble remembering where you're going, or you're getting lost on those routes? When you're driving, are you startled by seeing pedestrians? Do they seem to appear out of nowhere? Are you having trouble? Essentially, are you having trouble scanning the road in front of you and the area in front of you that you should be able to be using your vision and your peripheral vision to see what's there? Do you get distracted while you're driving? Do you forget where you're going? You had a purpose and now you don't know exactly where you were supposed to be or why you were going there. And has your family or friends talked to you about their concerns? Do they seem like they're worried? Did your doctor say something to you about your health concerning driving? Have you stopped driving because you're not as confident? Have you lessened your trips on the road because you're not confident in your skills? Are you having trouble when you're driving to stay in your lane? It may seem like it is tough to stay in that lane. Are you having problems with the pedals? Are you having problems going between the gas and the brake pedal? Quick little story here. I was in a drive-through line one time and I got up to the speaker to order, and right before I could place my order, somebody behind me had mistaken their mistaken their gas pedal for their brake pedal, and they hit my car and pushed me right through the drive-through line. So it does happen. I know, I have firsthand experience with that. Luckily, it was only a little bump. Nobody was hurt. But again, it does happen. And it is very, it's stunning when it happens. It's scary when it happens. So you want to make sure that you aren't having problems, switching between the correct pedals, because you don't want that to happen. And have you been pulled over by a police officer? There are a lot of times where police officers will pull vehicles over thinking that driver is impaired, when in all actuality, that person wasn't impaired. It is an older driver who's having an episode where they're confused, or they don't have the physical capabilities to stay in that lane of travel while they're driving. Or maybe their eyesight isn't that good and they're seeing double and not staying in that lane. So have you been pulled over by a police officer? Also, something to consider is if you are taking medication, what that medication does to driving. How does that react with driving? Do you take something that may cause drowsiness or blurred vision or dizziness or nausea, or it slows you down, it makes you a little bit groggy? So how does your medication interact with driving? How does your medication interact with other medications that you're taking? You need to know these things, and it's really important to stay on top of that, especially if your medications have recently changed. Now, if you know that you absolutely need to drive and you have to stay on the road, but you have these let's try this one again, and you have life-sustaining medications you must take, there is a way to possibly fix that. You can talk to your doctor. Maybe there are other medications that don't cause those reactions that you can take, but will still give you the desired results for your health. So maybe there's some medication that you can change out that won't cause dizziness or blurriness when you take it, but it will still do the same thing for whatever medical problem you are having. So it's really important that we talk to our doctors. There's also a great website out there. I didn't put this in the slides. I'm going to ask my friends at the library if they will put some links in the comments today, because I have a lot of good resources for my older drivers and families of older drivers. There is a website from AAA, and it's called RoadWise RX. And on that website, you can actually put in the medications that you are taking, and it will return to you information telling you how those medications will interact with each other and if they will cause any kind of adverse reactions that would pertain to driving. So you can pop in what medications you're taking, and it will tell you how they react to each other and if it will cause a problem with your driving. If it will cause drowsiness, if it will cause nausea, if it will cause fainting, whatever. So it's a really neat website and it's a great resource. And like I mentioned, I'm going to ask my friends at the library if they will put that link either in the post here or in the comments, so you can just click on it and it will take you right to that website and you can try it out. What's the best thing that I can suggest to you when it comes to driving as an older or a mature driver? My best recommendation is to be upfront with your doctor. Talk to your doctor. They don't want to take your license away. They want to keep your freedom. They want you to keep your independence as long as possible, but you have to do it safely. So it's really important that you talk to them so they can help you do it safely. Nobody wants to take your license away. We do see a problem with law enforcement because law enforcement doesn't want to pull over that older driver and cite them or submit that form to PennDOT saying that older driver shouldn't be on the road. You know, our law enforcement's very compassionate when it comes to our older drivers. So we need to do our part. If you have a family member that you're concerned about, talk with them and get them in to see their doctor. There may be things to help them. There may be things to remedy what is going on. So talking to your doctor is the best route to take. And finally, we have a great program here in Pennsylvania. It's called the Yellow-Dot program. And what this is, it's a brochure, it's a pamphlet, as you can see in the top left corner box here that I have. That's a picture of the pamphlet. And what you can do in this pamphlet is you can put your health concerns and conditions. You could put any kind of medication that you're currently on in this pamphlet. All it is medical information. So in the event of a crash or a medical episode where you cannot talk to the first responders, they can go in your glove compartment because you put a yellow sticker. Now you see that second picture there of the car, you put a yellow sticker in the back window. Those first responders will see that yellow sticker and they will know that pamphlet is in your glove compartment. Now, this pamphlet does not want any personal information, doesn't want any bank account information. You don't have to put your home address on it. You don't even have to put your name on it. There are places, there's enough space in there for two people. So say a married couple or maybe brothers, sisters that travel together all the time. There's enough space in this pamphlet for two people to enter their information. And then there's boxes where you can put a picture of yourself. So you don't even have to put your name. You could put your picture and it can say is on blood thinners, is diabetic, prefers to go to Tower Health Hospital. You could put your hospital. You could put prefers Penn State, whatever. You don't have to put any personal information. So it's not about somebody being afraid somebody's going to steal your identity. You can put as much or as little information in there as you want. But if there's something that you think is really important for a first responder to know, that you have a severe allergy to a medication or a drug, you could just put that. So they know, they go in there and go, oh, this person who's unresponsive, here's their picture. We can't give them this medication because they are allergic to this medication. And this helps when these first responders see this helps them, and it helps the professionals at the hospital treat you faster and better in those critical moments, after a crash or a medical episode. This helps them get you the best care as quickly as possible. I'm going to ask my friends at the library to put a link in the post or in the comments that will direct you to where you can get this information. So here you can see it's on PennDOT's website, and down here is a link that you can go online and request one of these kits. So you can go and request one of these pamphlets to put your information, and it comes with the sticker. And I'm going to ask my friends to put the link to this, because as you can see here, it's a pretty long link. It's penndot.gov/TravelInPA/pages/yellow-dot. So I'm going to ask them to put that link in. So that way you only have to click on the link and it will take you right there to request those pamphlets. Now, if you don't feel like going there and you would like to reach out to me, I actually have some of this information in my office and I would be glad to send it to you as well. So you can reach out to me on my Facebook or my Instagram. On Facebook, I am Traffic Safety Tara, and on Instagram, it is Tara's Traffic Safety. You can send me a message, send me your address, and I will gladly put however many of these kits you would need. It's one per car. So if you have 2 vehicles and you need 2 kits, I have them at my office. I will gladly send them to you. They're really something neat to have. And like I had said, it's just your medical history. It's any kind of medical information you'd want a first responder to know in the event that you are unresponsive and you can't let them know that you're allergic to a certain medication or that you are diabetic. These are just some examples. I just want to thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Like I had mentioned earlier, if you do have any questions or you would like any of those, the materials that I talked about, the yellow dot packets, you can reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. On Facebook, it's Traffic Safety Tara. On Instagram, it's Tara's Traffic Safety. I would love to hear from you. And remember, next week is going to be our last presentation for our traffic safety series. So don't forget to tune in and join me. And thanks again. Have a great week.